Hello there. I have not posted any videos for a while. I was busy with some of my stories, and today I have some time, so I thought let's talk about it. The previous video that I posted was after the Google event. It was more or less like a knee-jerk reaction to that announcement. But I kind of felt that Apple has lost the smartphone wars. As I said, it was just a quick reaction, and I wanted to, go deeper into what I meant there. And if you compare the two events, one by Google and one by Apple, you will see that there is a big distinction there. There is a big difference between those two events, and that also reflects where these two companies are going. And then I also went back to see all the previous Apple kind of announcements and the product releases that are coming out of Apple. So the one clear distinction or difference that I see is that at one end we see minor hardware upgrades, and that on the other hand we see major massive uh, revolution in the software world. So the hardware side of the story is the Apple story. Apple has always been a hardware company. I mean, that's why they give out their software for free, like Mac OS or whatever. And everybody knows that their thick margin comes from iPhone sales per se. And if you look at iFixit and a lot of other companies, they have actually given how thick the margin is. Um, so every year when Apple announced something, um, if you really look, if you just kind of remove all the kind of hype, you will see that it's just minor incremental improvements to the processor. That's or maybe more story, like from 16 GB to 32 GB to 64 GB. Beyond that, there has never been any revolutionary kind of upgrade to the device itself, given the price point. Now, I'll quickly talk about the price point. A lot of people say that Apple charges a lot for their hardware. Yes, they do. But when you are working in a field where you are doing a lot of R&D, especially in hardware, you don't have the advantage of economy of scale of mass production. So somebody has to bear that cost, whichever is going in, either using newer technologies or R&D into that. So a lot of cost there goes there, and that's why you see Pixel and all those devices are also expensive. It's not that they're just overcharging you. Somebody has to bear the cost of the research. But I have not seen any significant kind of innovation in the hardware aspect from Apple. A lot of people do talk about certain things like Face ID, but no offenses, but Android had it before them. Bezel-less screen, Android had it before that. Wireless charging, Android was there. Earbuds, there were already a lot of products, who were doing the same thing. So I really don't see any innovation happening there at all, even from the hardware point of view. Um, I mean, Mac OS has kind of MacBooks or Mac platform is declining because people. I mean, I use MacBook and I'm kind of I have not upgraded my MacBook since 2013 because I have not seen a device that is worth that much money. And the story is same with iPad or Apple Watch. It's just minor software updates, sorry, minor hardware updates, and you get to pay the same price. So and people buy it. There are upgrade cycles. People buy it because over time your device gets slow, so you have to. On Android, if you even if your device is older, Google has separated the apps from the platform itself, so you still run secure applications, but not the case with iOS devices. Now look at Google just for a second, and if you put any phone, like I have iPhone 8 Plus, I have Note 8, I have Pixel 1, I have Nexus devices, and you can see a massive improvement in the hardware department. Um well, I don't know if you can call it massive improvement, but there have been kind of okay. Let's say that both on the Apple side and Google side, or Android side, the hardware upgrades have been kind of nominal, because the fact is hardware is a commodity now. software is eating the world. We have seen that in enterprise world, the black boxes are going away, white boxes are everywhere. People are using commodity hardware, and then they're using open source, software to get, most out of their infrastructure. I mean, AT&T is building their future network on OpenStack, all virtualized, software defined networking, and everything is becoming software defined. So software is where the future is, and software is what is the strength of Google. And the hottest technology or hottest buzzword these days is machine learning, and Google pretty much owns that the domain. They have invested for so long that there are very few competitors who can beat them, and that is what you see in Google products. So just compare Siri with Google Assistant. There is no comparison. Siri will give you very flat answers to very flat questions. Yes, you have an accent now, or you sound more natural, but you're still not that smart. You're still a science project. You're nothing more than that. On the contrary, Google Assistant, though it has a very dumb and stupid name, is very smart. So I'll give you an example. When I ask Siri, how's the weather in Belgium, it may tell me the weather. But then if I want to eat what kind of food they eat there, I may have to ask again, hey Siri, what kind of food they eat in Belgium, and it may open a list. On Google, it knows the context. It learns. That's where machine learning comes into power. So if I say, hey Google, what kind of food they eat in Belgium, it will tell me the answer.
Belgian cuisine mentioned on Wikipedia: waffle, mussel, moule frite, and others.
Hey Google, where is it?
Belgium is 3,882 miles away.
Hey Google, which country is it in?
Here is some information about Belgium. Belgium, a country in Western Europe, is known for medieval towns, Renaissance architecture, and is
Hey Google,
of the European.
What is its capital?
The city of Brussels.
So you see that I did not have to tell Google what I'm asking. Once I ask the question about Belgium, it knows the context. In the case of Siri, you can try the same thing. It will not work. Siri will not know what. Hey Siri, what kind of food? Hey Siri, what food they eat in Belgium?
Here's what I found on the web for what forbidden in Belgium. Have a look.
It doesn't even understand my accent, and I have been using it for a while. Let's try it again. Hey Siri, what food they eat in Belgium?
Okay, one option is on 600 p.m. An Italian restaurant in Charleroi, which averages 4 stars and is somewhat pricey.
So you see, it's still in very, very early phases. I actually call Siri the most primitive of artificial intelligence, more or less like Neanderthals of the AI world. Even Amazon Echo has the same problem. It's nowhere close to what Google has to offer. And now they are baking this technology into all of their products. So even with the Pixel 2, the new phone that they announced, Google Assistant is baked into the product itself. And there are so many features that actually help you in getting things done. So my question is that what problem is Apple or Google trying to solve with these new products? So if you look at just even from the hardware point of story, Apple introduced Force Touch. But what problem was it trying to solve for me? Or what new capabilities it was offering me? None. It took them 2 or 3 generations to get rid of the home button. And now with the virtual or soft home button, which they have further removed from iPhone 10, was to just emulate that home button there. All they did was they included a fingerprint sensor, and that's all. And the problem is that if the phone is off, you cannot, because it's software. It's a virtual button, so it will not work. Earlier, you can use that home button to do a lot of different things. So I really don't see what problem they are trying to solve by this hardware iteration. sorry, with this hardware iteration or improvement, actually they have made a lot of mistakes when it comes to hardware. I don't want to get too much into it because then this post will become way too long. It's already 10 minutes long. But the just look at the notch in there, it's ugly. I mean, why would you want a notch which is cutting your movies out? When you're looking in the landscape mode, it will cut your addresses. I don't even know what more. It's an eyesore. No sane person would create a design with a notch like that in it. Just look at Magic Mouse. You cannot use it when it's charging. My Apple Pencil, I cannot use it when I'm charging. And I got the first generation Apple Pencil, and it's still. Initially they showed how many cool things you can do, but it's not as good as my stylus or pencil on Note 8, which actually helps me take notes when I interview people. I pull my note out and I quickly take down the notes or highlights what question I should ask next. At the same time, I cannot use pencil with my iPhone. There is so much fragmentation within Apple world now. The interface of iPhone 8, because it has this home button, is different from the interface of iPhone 10, which doesn't have a button. This is different from iPad Pro. This one has Force Touch. iPad Pro does not have Force Touch. This one does not have a 3.55 millimeter iPad Pro, which was released this year, doesn't have any. So there is so much fragmentation within Apple's own line of products within the same operating system. And the interface is becoming more and more confusing. Apple used to be pioneer of very simple, easy to use interface. And don't get me started with iCloud. It's a mess. I don't even know where my files are stored. And even if I have 28 gig on this one, it always says my space is full. And there is no way I can manage data. Only way is to either delete all of the files or delete the app. So it's kind of this is a software side of equation, but from the hardware side, as I said, a lot of their products are not actually what you would expect from a company which used to be a pioneer. I mean, the reason I got into Apple world was, they were pioneer. They will introduce new technologies, but that is not the case now ever since Steve Jobs passed. And Chris Prilio, I am sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, because a lot of people here mispronounce my name, so I can be forgiven for that. He has done a lot of good posts, that how Apple is kind of losing its edge. Anyway, that was kind of digression. The point is, if you look at any other product, where you look at iPhone versus Pixel, Pixel has the best camera. From hardware point of view, they have the best camera. There's no comparison whatsoever, though I have this, GH5, so I won't even compare with that, but they have the best camera. And you don't need dual lens to get all those portrait modes. This camera has a very good depth of field. You can see it's at portrait mode. Everything behind me is kind of soft because you need a good glass, a good aperture. And what they're still doing is they're shooting with two cameras on iPhone, and then they're using software to compensate for it. Google is doing the same thing with just one lens. Software is eating the word. Just look at Pixel Book versus iPad Pro. I will not compare Pixel Book with a laptop, though yes, it can be, because I have a laptop and I have a Chromebook. I do a lot of film editing, especially for the videos like that, and Pixel does not have, or Chrome OS does not have, Adobe Photoshop Premiere, where I can do all those things. So I would compare it with the iPad Pro, because Tim Cook used to call it, a laptop killer. It's not, because it doesn't have, the full multitask kind of, where you can have multiple apps running side by side. Whatever they are offering is half baked. It doesn't have support for mouse, or you cannot plug in any hardware in it, or any USB drive and start using it as a storage. No, it's very limited functionality. So it's not an laptop killer. Pixel, on the other hand, runs the full-fledged browser. Plus, you have all those applications there. So that's a better alternative for the same price to a laptop than an iPad Pro. And they are once again baking AI into that. So you have, the whole integration with Google Assistant with that. And the way they work together, like if you're using a Pixel phone with a Pixel Book, and if you are not in the Wi-Fi, it will automatically tether with your smartphone, so you can continue to work. You won't have to kind of enable the tethering and work like that. Now just look at iPad, AirPod versus Pixel buds. Yes, AirPod is neat. I love it. It's my favorite headphones, but Siri is still dumb. On the other hand, with Pixel buds, Google has showed once again what artificial intelligence is all about. You can use the AirPod and talk to a person in a different language, and whatever you can converse with each other in your own languages, but it will translate everything to the other person in real time. And they gave a very impressive demo there. It's more like science fictional. You are literally living in science fictional age. You can talk to aliens and they might decipher the language. No, that's not going to happen. I mean, I've already talked about Siri versus Google Assistant, and Google Lens is another cool feature that they have introduced. And these are the things that I think are important. Like, for example, I travel a lot for my conferences. So all I can do is, if I look at a restaurant, I can pull my Pixel phone out, look at the building of the restaurant, and it will pull all the information and tell me. It will open the menu right in front of on my phone without ever entering the restaurant. So I can, if there are 4 restaurants, I can quickly check which one is open, what is the menu, how expensive, or what are the reviews, without actually going there. Google Translate, it's an old thing, but you can have a real life translation. So whenever I travel, I can quickly look at the text and it translates everything for me in the real life. Google Maps, it tells you the shortest distance. Apple Maps kind of relatively sucks compared to that. I have used it a couple of times and it always gets me lost. There are applications after applications after applications that Google is developing that actually helps me. I asked the same question from Apple side, how it's helping me in either getting the job done in a better way or making me more efficient. I don't see it there. All I see is that every year they come up with just minor improvements to their hardware, and that's all it is. It's the same experience over and over again. Now let's just quickly talk about the AR thing, because that was one thing I was really excited about. That I was like, this is what Apple is doing, and they may change the world, because I am really into AR and VR. I have PlayStation and I have all the AR stuff here. I really hate my smartphone and my laptop. I really don't want to sit in front of a machine to get the work done. I want to wear glasses. It could be HoloLens or whatever it could be, where I can see the real world, and then I can pull a virtual screen in front of me. For example, I want to watch a YouTube video. A small window opens and I can watch the YouTube video and move it away. If I get a mail, I can just check the mail quickly, and I can use virtual keyboard or a small portable keyboard, get it done, and that's it. If I have to work on a dock, I can open a dock on a 500-inch screen and get the work done. So that's the kind of future I want. And unfortunately, we don't have the pioneers anymore, like what Elon Musk is doing with the SpaceX, or a lot of what Steve Jobs initially did with iPhone. We don't have pioneers who can kind of disrupt the whole industry. So we are kind of stuck in this laptop world. So that is the future I wanted. So I was excited about the work that Apple will be doing with the AR, but it's nothing more than gimmicks. Yes, there are certain apps which are cool, but you lose interest after using them 5 minutes. That's not the future that they promised. And it was a big hype. They built a whole engine behind it. They built a whole AR kit behind it. Google demoed AR, augmented reality, and that was impressive. No hype, no unnecessary work, and they did it. At the same time, Google also have a platform for VR, which Apple does not have. You can have Google Daydream. You can put the glasses on, and there you go. You have VR and AR plus artificial intelligence mixed with it, plus Pixel Buds, which translates everything for you. So this is the word that belongs to the future, right? So when I look at both these companies, the way I see it is, one company is still stuck in past. It's like Windows XP Word with Apple. It's a cash cow for them. iPhone is a cash cow for them, and they keep milking it. But they are, even from Apple's perspective, they are not taking big leaps in terms of their own products. Their products are kind of frozen in time, and with every new version, they add one minor feature, and then once again you have to pay $1,000. And I've been paying it since iPhone 6. So, I mean, I upgrade every time a new Apple device comes out because I want to keep an eye on where they're moving. But I have not seen any innovation. I have not seen any kind of revolutionary, because Steve Jobs popularized this term. I have not seen any revolutionary technology from them for a very long time. What they have done is whatever technology was already there, they kind of package it in Apple packaging. On the Google side, the story is totally different. So it's more or less like past versus future. So Apple is stuck in past, and that's their business model. So they will, and they don't have the visionary leader that they once used to have, and they rely so much on their leader. On the other hand, we have Google, which never relied on a leader as such. The Google runs this kind of science project, where they throw a lot of things and see which one works, and then they move. And that's how our world moves forward, by making mistakes, by taking risks, by iterating on the product. So when I look at the Google words versus Apple word, it's future versus past. And in the long term, even if Apple may retain market share because they have millions of users out there, it won't be Apple that will kind of reshape our world. It won't be Apple which actually builds our future. It is Google. It's Google products. It's Google software. It's machine learning. It's artificial intelligence, and how you're baking all of that together. That's what is really having a real impact on the world. So when you look at the both companies, when I say that the smartphone war is over and Apple has lost, the reason is not that I have any disliking for Apple. I mean, I have iPhone, I have MacBook, I have Apple TV. So it's not about product in general. It's about which company is actually prepared for the future, which company is going to take us to that future. And Apple is not that company. I wish it was. It's Google. So this is my kind of more in-depth analysis why I think the smartphone war is over and why Apple has lost it. Please let me know what you think about it, and share all your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel and spread it a lot, and also like this video. Thanks for listening to me. In the next video, I may go deeper into some of the announcements that were made to get more into specifics of why I'm excited about those products. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.